Believe it or not, I've gotten much better at minding my business. In life and just in general, especially on the internet. I used to be kind of a stir, let me just be honest, but I've gotten a lot better. And it really takes a lot for me to go over to a brand page and start. So you know that was going down over on the Doll10 Instagram page when I went over there and I started. Because one thing that really pisses me off is when a brand sets themselves up as a professional in the space and then just straight up spreads misinformation. This week on Doll10's Instagram page, they spread misinformation about two topics. One of them a little less serious in that they were misrepresenting what retinol does. We'll talk about it. But the more serious one was they were actually encouraging their followers to not wear sunscreen. I know, it's not quite as cut and dry as that, but we'll get into it. And if you cannot tell, I am absolutely heated about this. I am so heated. I smile because if I did not smile, I would probably scream. And on the flip side of that, we have a conclusion of one of the big Johnson & Johnson asbestos contaminated talc lawsuits. Johnson & Johnson is paying out big. I have all the details on that as well. We have the FDA warning about counterfeit products that could actually put you in danger. Along with that, Juvia's place may be in trouble. They have a pending class action lawsuit against them. I have the actual class action lawsuit, and I will explain to you what it says and what I think the likelihood that the plaintiffs will win in this case. An update on whether or not Selena Gomez is planning on selling Rare Beauty, the closing of an independent beauty brand that y'all know I was rooting for, and I'm so sad about it. And at the end of the show, of course, as we always do, we are going to end it with something lighthearted and is building off of a story that we did about a month ago about a 4,000-year-old lipstick that was unearthed. We have a gift. We have a gift from a content creator named Erin Parsons. I can't wait for you to see what she has done. Hang tight. We're about to get into it right now. Hello, my friend. Welcome to What's Up in Makeup Top News, where we talk about everything that happened across the beauty sphere in business, legal, science, celebrity news, all in one place. Before we get started, I am very thankful to say that this video is very kindly sponsored by Nira. If you've been around for a while, you know I've been using my Nira device for over a year now and seen some absolutely beautiful results. Their at-home, clinically proven, non-fractional laser technology is truly a game changer. I've also been using recently their new Youth Renewal Peptide Cream and really loving that as well. So if you are interested in checking out Nira for yourself, link will be down below. Use my code that is appearing on the screen now for 15% off your entire order. Now it is time to get into this Doll10 situation. First, I want to preface this by saying I have been following Doll10 for pretty much as long as this channel has existed. I remember getting some of their products in subscription boxes, and that was how I was introduced to the company. I do follow a lot of brands though, so in that, some of them I follow closer than others, and Doll10, honestly, I haven't been following that closely. So when a post popped up in my Instagram feed, I clicked on it, just curious, what's going on with Doll10? Oh, what I realized is that Doll10 has gone full clean beauty rhetoric to the point where they are spreading misinformation and directly going against scientific evidence. Here is the post that they put up on their Instagram on April 25th.
Which I know is controversial. I don't wear sunscreen. And
I'm with her.
I'm with her too.
I'm 110% with her. We're not saying go out and fry yourself unprotected. Let's not get it twisted. But it's important to understand that slathering yourself in these benzenes every single day, never getting any vitamin D is just not good for you.
It's not good for you.
We live in a world where everything, unfortunately, is kind of toxic. So you have to kind of pick and choose what's going to work for you. And I think this is such a hot topic, which I find to be so interesting. It is like a religion for some people.
It's so
and it
funny.
doesn't have to be. It's
it doesn't have
what
to be.
Works for you works for you. What works for me, what works for Kristen.
That's right.
Let people live. Do what works for you.
Exactly.
Modulate your toxin load, however works for you. And just take a chill pill.
So let's break down what's happening here. First, we need to know who's in this video. So this right here, this is Dr. Doris Dalton. She is the CEO and founder of Doll10 Beauty. The other woman, her name is Lee, and she appears to be an employee of Doll10. I don't know what her qualifications are or who she is in order to speak so incorrectly with her whole chest, but that's Lee. The best way that I feel like I can do this is to just kind of go through the video and talk about what my beef is. So first thing is that Dr. Dalton says that she doesn't wear sunscreen, which is 100% her right. I am a very strong believer in freedom and your freedom to do with your body what you choose. If she does not want to wear sunscreen, that is up to her. I don't even care if she shares it. The first thing that Lee says I actually appreciate, in that she says, you know, you shouldn't go out into the sun and fry yourself with no sunscreen. Yes, thank you. Absolutely, totally agree. But this is where it takes a turn, because she starts talking about slathering yourself in benzenes. This is where I have to take a breath, because no one is slathering themselves in benzenes, just period, because benzene is not an ingredient. Benzene is a contaminant, and the reason why it's probably forefront in Lee's mind is because benzene has been found as a contaminant in some spray sunscreens. From what I understand about benzene, it gets into spray sunscreens, spray dry shampoos, things like that, because it is a contaminant in the propellant that is used to get the sunscreen out of the can. So her first statement, slathering yourself in benzenes, is literally not real. No one is doing that. I will link a video from Michelle from Lab Muffin Beauty Science talking about the actual danger of benzene contamination in sunscreens.
You're literally rubbing cancer into our skin.
Hi, I'm a chemistry PhD. I've worked with benzene in the lab. I'm also a qualified cosmetic chemist. This video is really misleading. It isn't entirely his fault, because Valishaw's report that he's reading is really misleading. Yes, benzene causes cancer and it's been found in sunscreen, but just like any other carcinogen like UV, the amount you get makes a huge difference to the risk. With benzene, the amount in sunscreens is really low. Here is one of the top benzene researchers saying Valishaw are scaring people unnecessarily. Benzene is in petrol. You get twice as much benzene just breathing city air for half a day.
Basically, they're removing these products out of the utmost of caution from the market. The amount you could inhale of benzene from these contaminated sunscreens and or dry shampoos or other spray products, it's probably negligent as far as your health. The benzene that really hurts people is when people are in some kind of factory where there is a lot of benzene in the air. You're also exposed to benzene from so many other things, like your gas stove, like every time you pump gas into your car. There, you get benzene exposure from so many different things that are way higher than the contamination that is in these spray sunscreens. So that's why I'm saying that slathering yourself in benzenes is literally not real. Put a pin in that, because we will be back to that one in just a minute. I have a lot to say. I'm very angry. The next thing she talks about is you're not getting any vitamin D if you use sunscreen. Yes, you are. You absolutely are. Where this gets confusing is that there were some studies in a lab where they had artificial sunlight that they put on people, and that showed that people weren't absorbing as much vitamin D from that artificial sunlight. This has not been proven in actual sunlight. Actually, the opposite has been proven, in that you can get vitamin D into your body from the sun, even if you're wearing sunscreen. In a study done by Oxford University in 2019, they concluded, quote, concerns about vitamin D should not negate skin cancer prevention advice. Then in the video, Dr. Dalton agrees with Lee and says, no, these are not good for you. So it's important to recognize that they're agreeing here on these things that are not real. Then Lee goes on to say, we live in a world where everything, unfortunately, is kind of toxic. Also not true. Yes, there are lots of toxic things out there, but to say that everything is toxic, maybe she was being hyperbolic or whatever, but there are a lot of people that are genuinely afraid of things being toxic. There's an actual phobia called toxicophobia, where people are deathly afraid of the world being toxic. So this is just not a healthy message to present, even if she was being hyperbolic. Then Lee says it's like a religion to people. And What I'm gathering is she's saying that it's a belief system that you should wear sunscreen, when that is, again, not accurate, because we have scientific data to prove that sunscreen is extremely important and does prevent skin cancer. So no, it is not like a religion. It is like science. Very different things. Then she goes on for a minute about everybody having a choice and how we should just let people live. And again, I 100% agree. If Lee and Doris don't want to wear their sunscreen, they don't have to. But what I have an issue with is presenting these things that are absolutely 100% not true, as fact to a broad customer base. Because when you are a brand, people trust you as an authority. And they may believe what you're saying as not a belief, but as a scientific fact. And though we can disagree on beliefs, we cannot disagree on scientific facts. There are alternative beliefs, but there are no alternative facts. Over in the comments next to the video, it's probably what you would expect. There's a lot of people that are absolutely outraged that they're suggesting that wearing sunscreen isn't necessary. And then there are people that are saying, oh my gosh, thank you. This is what I've always believed. Thanks for saying this out loud. For example, there's one comment that says, trust doctors, not beauty sellers, WTF people. Here is the response to that. LOL, and doctors are the ones who push vaccines and toxic chemicals on people because Big Pharma tells them to. They never once look at the ingredients unless they are holistic and hate giving their patients cancer for more business. Don't be so naive, it makes you look ignorant. If you actually took a minute and looked up most any of the ingredients in sunscreens that aren't mineral-based, you would eat your toxic words. Even dermatologists are starting to tell patients not to use toxic sunscreens. Ugh, do better. Can I tell you about the overuse of the words do better? It's like everybody's out. It's almost like putting your hand in somebody's face. Do better. That doesn't mean you're right. Just because you put your hand in someone's face doesn't mean that you're right. Actually, it makes your argument look even weaker. Just to counter that very quickly, if you actually look at science, what she's saying is 100% wrong, and it is specifically the narrative pushed by clean beauty brands and organizations like EWG. There was one person that shared their personal loss of a family member due to melanoma, and Doll10 responded with this. We're so sorry for your loss, Doll. We're encouraging choice and for people to modulate their toxin loads according to what works for them. Doris is a doctor, and this is her opinion, and we do recommend mineral-based sunscreens if you are going to choose to wear it. As always, we encourage you to do what works for you. It's important to note here that Dr. Dalton is a chiropractor. She's not a skincare specialist. You cannot use this person as a doctor as a crutch for your weak ass arguments. There are so many things to learn as a doctor, and just because you are specialized in one area does not mean you know anything about another area. Maybe back in medical school, you read a chapter in a book, or maybe you were lucky enough to have a residency in something that wasn't going to be your specialty, but that does not make you an expert in that field. A dermatologist should not be giving chiropractic advice, just like a chiropractor should not be giving skincare advice. Full stop. Period. Then Lee comes on from her personal account to defend Dr. Dalton's qualifications. She says chiros are trained in how the body operates as a whole, how to find root causes of illness, how to prevent them, and how to fix them. Pharmacology is just a training on what prescriptions to write, which all have side effects and really only act as a band-aid for the problem. Sending love always. Happy we can have an open and honest conversations here where we might not all agree, but can see one another's point of view. I would dare to say that people with chronic illnesses that require medication would say that medication is really, really important to their daily lives and is in no way a band-aid. As you probably already know, pharmacology is way so much more detailed than just understanding what prescriptions to write. There was actually someone that responded to this in the comments. She said pharmacology is a very in-depth study of how different chemicals and compounds interact with and affect our biologic and anatomical systems, the mechanisms by which they act on our bodies, absorption, excretion, thresholds, dosing, safety, and side effects. I would know because I've taken it. So yes, I think that type of training is pretty dang relevant to a conversation about the chemical compounds in sunscreen and how they affect us. Oh, but I'm not done. I have more to say because Dr. Dalton herself went into the comments underneath the post. A different person who said they lost a family member to melanoma. This was Dr. Dalton's response. I'm so sorry to hear about your friend, but this is a very relevant topic, and so many of us are misinformed. Benzenes, which have been sold to the public for years, is incredibly dangerous. Neither Lee nor myself are saying to stay outside and bake and give alternatives to natural forms of SPF. Hopefully this gives some context. So Dr. Dalton herself doesn't even know what benzene is. So this is where I started shit stirring because I was angry. I felt my heart pumping. I was like, this is horrible because people are going to believe her because she says she's a doctor, right? So this is what I said. Dr. Dalton, benzene is not an ingredient. It's a contaminant. Please don't spread misinformation. See, I was polite about it. This was Doll10's response. Hi, Doll. Unfortunately, benzenes and benzones are still the top ingredients in chemical sunscreens. They're not. Avobenzone is one ingredient, and it is very different than benzene. And I know they sound similar. I know. But those little things in words make a difference. A cat and a bat are completely different animals. They continue. We advocate for mineral options like zinc. We believe everyone is entitled to make the decision that is best for them, but we should be educated fairly. Thanks for your feedback. This was my response. Educated fairly means being accurate in what you're saying. And then I quoted, benzene is not a standard ingredient of sunscreen. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration states that due to its known toxicity, benzene should not be used in the manufacture of drugs, including sunscreen, unless it is unavoidable in a product. You will not find benzene as an ingredient in any sunscreen. You are not, quote, educating fairly. And that's where my big issue is that yes, we should all be educated fairly. Absolutely. We should learn different points of view, but we should not be told things that are not true and have that taken into account in our realities. Benzene is not an ingredient. It's just not. That is not educating fairly. So then I looked and I was like, okay, so how bad is this? How bad is this page? They actually posted another post even more recently than the sunscreen one about how they don't recommend using retinol. Let me just go ahead and play it for you and see if you can find the issue with what she's saying. Here's Lee again.
Might get a lot of hate for it, but we actually recommend not using retinol. I know it's not the traditional advice. Here's the thing, retinol is not an ingredient that is one size fits all, meaning it does not work on all skin types. There are some skin types that will never get out of that red, peely, irritated, angry skin stage of retinol. And what that means is your makeup doesn't go on nice, your skin's constantly inflamed, it's irritated. It's like, what am I doing this for? So that's why we created the overnight facial. This is a serum that will gently exfoliate while also hydrating, so that guess what? You're getting those exfoliating benefits without the irritation. This is your skin's dream come true. You want to use this 3 nights a week on clean, dry skin and put nothing on top of it. I personally promise that you're going to see results after the first week. You're not going to have skin that is angry and irritated. Instead, you're going to have skin that is smooth, hydrated, exfoliated, and ready for anything you put on top.
All right, so we're going do, 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 do. Did you find where she's wrong here? Did you catch the mistake? Did you catch it? Because it's a pretty big one in that retinol and chemical exfoliators do not do the same thing. Chemical exfoliators work on the top layer of the skin to slough off dead skin cells. Your skin cells kind of move up over time, and that top layer is held on by a glue of sorts. It's kind of like when you think of bricks in a wall, you have the mortar between the bricks. So as the skin gets to the very, very top, the mortar starts loosening around these skin cells. So a chemical exfoliator encourages those dead skin cells that are at the very top to slough off, creating a brighter complexion. Retinol, on the other hand, works on the lower layers of the skin to encourage a faster cell turnover, among other things. So the question is, do you think that when I let them know this on their page that they were receptive to this? Absolutely not. You probably got that right. I said in my post, retinol doesn't exfoliate. What are y'all doing over here? Your product and a retinol product are completely different functions. They said back, hi, doll, totally get it. Our take isn't the traditional one. That's not my issue. My issue is that they're saying things that aren't real. What works for you works for you. The mechanism of retinol does increase cell turnover time and exfoliate the skin. Increased cell turnover time not exfoliate the skin. They're different. But unfortunately for a lot of people, the skin never leaves the red, peeling, itchy, and angry stage. We received this feedback so much from our community that we wanted to create an alternative, just not listening at all. That's why we created Overnight Facial. It's an 11% acid blend plus soothing agents and hydrators to give the same increase in cell turnover over time and exfoliation, just without the irritation. Hope this helps. No, it helped me realize that you don't know anything about skincare. This was my response. Please consult a licensed dermatologist regarding this. Increasing cell turnover over time is not the same as exfoliation. Retinol cannot break the bonds that hold dead skin cells to the surface like AHAs can. It's not about having an unpopular opinion. It's about your brand using inaccuracies to promote a product. Your opinions are your choice, but presenting alternative facts is not okay. So that is where that was left. I did tag Michelle from Lab Muffin Beauty Science. I sent her a DM. I really hope that Michelle creates content with this because there's nothing my geeky heart loves more than seeing Michelle set something like this straight. Whew, all right. I am better. Now that I've talked to you about it, I feel a lot better, and we're going to be moving on because this is something that you actually need to be worried about if you get Botox from a place that may not be legit. I don't know any other way to say that. Botox is very popular, and the reason why it's popular is because it works. Botox injections relax the muscles, so people, of course, use it for wrinkle reduction. They also use it for medical treatments for things like migraines, hyperhidrosis, overactive bladder, and eye problems. So legally, Botox must be injected by a trained physician, or it can be by a registered nurse, a nurse practitioner, or a physician's assistant, specifically under the observation of a trained physician. And because these injections are expensive from professionals, people find ways of doing things on their own. An acquaintance of mine even went to something called a Botox party. Now, I am not 100% sure who was doing these Botox injections at this Botox party, but I'm pretty damn sure that it was not a licensed professional. There are also spas around the country that will do Botox injections under the table. That's another danger because they are not licensed and they are not formally trained. And because I'm all about freedom and you choosing to do with your own body, I am not going to shame you for going to some place that is not legit for getting Botox if that's what you want to do with your own body. However, if you are choosing to do that, you might want to check and make sure that where they got their Botox is legit. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration issued a warning about the distribution of counterfeit versions of AbbVie's Botox, which is a very popular Botox, which have been administered for cosmetic purposes across various states. The alert comes after reports of harmful reactions linked to these counterfeit products. The counterfeit Botox was reportedly given by unlicensed or untrained individuals in non-healthcare settings such as homes and spas. As of April 12th, there have been 19 reported cases of harmful reactions in 9 states, including Colorado, Florida, Illinois, Kentucky, Nebraska, New Jersey, New York, Tennessee, and Washington. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, alongside the FDA, are conducting an ongoing investigation to track and address the issue. The FDA is actively collaborating with AbbVie to trace and eliminate the counterfeit Botox from circulation. So be warned, please be careful out there. And starting off in business news this week, we are talking Selena Gomez and the potential sale of Rare Beauty. Now, we said here on What's It Been Makeup that it looked like it might be likely that she would sell. Whispers started after the Business of Fashion named Rare Beauty one of the top merger and acquisition targets in January and valued the brand at $2 billion, citing $300 million in sales just last year. Then in March, Bloomberg reported that Rare Beauty had hired financial advisors to join meetings with potential investors and buyers. But things took a turn last week at the Time 100 Summit in New York City on Wednesday, when Selena hinted at a strong future for her company, one that definitely includes her. She was asked directly about a potential sale by a Time senior editor. This is what she said: "I don't think I'm going anywhere. I am enjoying this a little too much. I want to continue building what we're doing." Selena went on to call Rare Beauty her pride and joy and said that there are so many fun things coming up. And if sales for Rare Beauty go up from where they have been, it's going to be worth a lot more than $2 billion. In 2022, Bloomberg reported that Rare sold 3.1 million units of the soft pinch liquid blush alone, earning the company around $70 million just on that one product. So if you were concerned about Rare Beauty selling and it losing the Selena magic, fear not. It looks like she's staying. We do not have a new celebrity brand launch this week, wah wah, but we do have a celebrity collaboration that I thought was pretty interesting. Paris Hilton has collaborated with Luxe to launch a body tanner. About the collaboration, Paris told WWD, "I'm an expert on getting tanned, but Luxe are the experts in tanning products. We put our creative minds together to come up with what we think is the future of tanning." The collab's campaign video was the result of nearly a year of collaborative work with Paris and was viewed 175,000 times within its first 24 hours on TikTok. Are you ready for it? Let's check it out.
Everyone at Luxe is so excited for this launch. All we need is an iconic Paris tagline. You know, like, that's hot.
On it. Closet. Wake AI, Paris. 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 Talk to me.
Okay, we need a new tagline for my new...
Our new
Tan Luxe Airbrush 360 Self-Tan Mist.
It's so easy to apply, so long-lasting, no streaks, and it smells amazing. It's the future. What about the future is so hot? It's burning. What? Sorry to barge, traveled from 2064. Couldn't miss this. The future of tanning depends on it. This space-time continuum is so sexy. You're sexy. I know. Sorry. Texting. The future looks good on you. My work here is done. Work? Tan Luxe. The future looks good on you. Gotta run. This alien war. I'm like the general. Hot. Sliving.
The tanning mist has been paired with a tanning mitt. It is their Luxe tanning mitt created using plant-based fibers and antimicrobial technology. You can find them on the Tan Luxe website as a pair for $49. And then some sad news, an update on the brand formerly known as JD Glow, changed in branding to Her Artistry. They have announced that they are officially closing for good. Here's the statement that they posted on Instagram on Friday, quote, "We're closing JD Glow and Her Artistry for good. Everything must go. 50% off code ETMG50. Our last day is May 1st, 2024. We're closing for a number of reasons, the main reason being a substantial decline in sales and revenue. I just want to wish both owners all the best in their future projects and to please let me know if they're launching anything in the beauty space, and I will be sure to let you know so you can choose if you want to support." And in legal news this week, it didn't work. Let's try again. And in legal news this week, it helps if I have the hammer going the right direction. You know, I can't even figure out the dang hammer. This is a big one, y'all. We've been talking about Johnson & Johnson being sued for talc contamination for years. The hammer's come down on them, my friends. Though there are lots of things that are fear-mongering in the beauty space, talc contamination with asbestos is nothing to joke about, nothing to take lightly. As you probably know, the inhalation of asbestos can lead to an aggressive form of lung cancer called mesothelioma. Johnson & Johnson and two of its subsidiaries were found liable in the asbestos-related death of Teresa Garcia. A jury in the Circuit Court of Cook County in Chicago, Illinois, awarded the Garcia family $45 million in damages. Johnson & Johnson has tried to avoid these lawsuits by declaring bankruptcy multiple times in order to get a stay because they have so many lawsuits against them right now for asbestos-related talc contamination. The jury concluded that Teresa's lifelong use of talc-based Johnson's baby powder and other products was the cause of her mesothelioma. The lawyer representing Teresa's family said that Johnson & Johnson knew that their talc was contaminated with asbestos and still continued to put it in products. They proved this in court by bringing samples of the product that had been tested and found to have asbestos in it. The lawyer said specifically, not only did the defendants' negligent and deceit cheat loyal customers like Teresa, but their deception has ultimately robbed a family of their mother. It was found that Teresa's cancer was caused by inhaling the contaminated powder nearly every day for years. Experts explained that the daily use and amount inhaled by Garcia throughout her life led to the mesothelioma. She was diagnosed in January of 2020 and passed away in July of that year. There are currently over 34,000 lawsuits currently being filed against Johnson & Johnson on allegations that the talc products caused their cancer. In August of 2022, Johnson & Johnson actually removed talc from all of their baby powder products and replaced it with cornstarch. So you may be asking yourself, is all talc dangerous? And the answer is most likely no. Johnson & Johnson was found guilty because the talc in their baby powder was found to have asbestos in it. But there have been people and entities that have gone out and tested different powder products that included talc in them and tried to find asbestos in them, and they were unable to find asbestos. So there is a way to mine talc and put it in a product in a way that there is no asbestos contamination. So what does this mean for you? It means that you need to make a choice for yourself of how you want to handle talc in your products. What science says is that cancer is caused by a long-term exposure to asbestos-contaminated talc. There is no way to know whether the products that you are using are contaminated unless they are tested, and the vast majority of products are never tested. So you have to decide what is best for you. Are you willing to take that risk that your products are not contaminated? I personally feel like, based on what I have seen, what I have read, I believe that the vast majority of products are not contaminated. I also don't use a lot of loose powder products with talc in it where I would be inhaling it. I am not putting on powder products every single day for many, many years. So I personally feel like my personal risk is very low. So that's the choice that I am making, but you need to decide what choice you want to make for you. And it is important to note that there is a level of risk here, but like most things in life, a lot of things have a level of risk, and you just have to decide for yourself what risk you're willing to take and what it's worth to you. Hopefully one day, which would be ideal, all talc manufacturers would have to test their final products for asbestos contamination before they can ship them to places where they will be put into products. That's not now. Hopefully one day in the future. Just when we thought things were calming down over at Makeup Revolution, they have had so many issues over the past 2 years in the back end on the business side of things, and it looked like it was over. But it's not. Here comes another lawsuit. Former Revolution Beauty investor Chrysalis Investments has issued a draft claim of £45.2 million after claiming the makeup brand participated in deceit, negligent misstatement, and/or misrepresentation at the time of its company share purchase. Chrysalis bought a $45 million stake in Revolution Beauty in 2021, and then in 2022 they sold it for $5.7 million. Which of course is a gigantic loss. If you weren't here for that story or you don't remember the story, the short of it is that in 2022, Revolution Beauty had to take their business off the UK stock exchange because they weren't reporting their financials. And the reason why they weren't reporting their financials was because of alleged shady business by the two founders, Adam Minto and Tom Allsworth, who were acting as the CEO and executive chairman at the time. So as a result of the loss, Chrysalis Investments legal advisors have filed a claim of £39 million against Revolution Beauty, plus a further claim of £6.2 million for consequential losses. Revolution Beauty does strongly contest the allegations and said its legal advisors, quote, continue to review the materials received on the 19th of April and are considering its response. The brand added that they will continue to engage with Chrysalis Investments and its advisors and will provide provide updates as appropriate. And if you did not know, Revolution Beauty is now owned by other people. There's a fast fashion company called Boohoo that bought a majority stake in it. They're pretty much all in charge of that company now. So the alleged shady business people are gone, and now the people that purchased it are now dealing with their mess still. If there's any updates to it, of course, I'll continue to let you know. Another thing that I thought was done that apparently is not done are pressed pigment lawsuits. Just a quick recap on that. There are specific pigments that are used in eyeshadow palettes. Let's just be honest, they're eyeshadow palettes. They're mostly red pigments, and they're not FDA approved for eye use here in the US. They are approved outside of the US in all places that I know of, including the EU, but for whatever reason here, the FDA has not approved them. People complain of irritation and staining because of them, and usually brands will put a little disclaimer somewhere on their website, on the packaging, that has a little asterisk next to different shades, and it says not intended for use around the eye area. There's been 3 notable class action lawsuits for this exact same thing. The first one was Huda Beauty for the Neon Obsessions palette. She settled and ended up giving people refunds for the palettes. The second one was of Morphe Cosmetics. Now, Morphe went into bankruptcy, so that is on one of those stays because they, you can't do legal proceedings while you're actively in bankruptcy. So that's what's going on with that. And the ColourPop one was actually settled. And the judge in the case was basically like, this isn't my business. No one was harmed here. This is you being mad that they're not following FDA regulations. So you need to take this up with the FDA. If nobody was hurt in this, then it's not a class action kind of situation. Go talk to the FDA. The new class action lawsuit has been filed against Juvia's Place. And there are some things in here that are similar and different to what we've seen before. Let's talk about it. I will link the full court document down below in case you would like to read it, but here is the summary. Basically, the class action lawsuit says that Juvia's Place eyeshadow palettes are unsafe to use around the eyes since they contain, quote, a litany of synthetic color additives that have not been approved for use in eyeshadows. Classaction.org summarizes like this: the class action lawsuit accuses Juvia's Place of marketing its palettes in a manner that leads reasonable consumers to believe the makeup is safe to use and should be used as eyeshadow, while failing to adequately disclose that the palettes contain unsafe, unfit, and unapproved color additives for use around the eye area. Now, what sets this apart from the ColourPop one are 2 major factors. The first one is that people are saying that they were actually harmed by the Juvia's Place eyeshadows. Classaction.org says that 2 of the consumers say that the staining around their eyes lasted for several days and would not come off with makeup remover, while the third claims to have experienced itching and swelling on her eyelids after applying the eyeshadow. Actually, there's 3 things. This is the third that I had forgotten about. They're not just claiming red pigments, they're also claiming some yellow pigments as well, because I believe there are some more neon colored yellow pigments that are also not FDA approved for eye use. The third one, which I think is another big one, is they're saying that Juvia's Place clearly marketed these as eyeshadows and gave no hint that these were not approved for eye use. Here's a screenshot from the filing. It shows their website, and it says that the palettes are clearly in the eye section under eyeshadow palettes, and the model in the photo has those unapproved pigments on her eyes in the photo advertising the product. Quoting from the lawsuit now, through its foregoing marketing materials and affirmative product descriptions, the defendant has consistently portrayed the products and all their ingredients as safe, suitable, and intended for use as eyeshadows. Yeah, what they said. The plaintiffs also presented reviews from both the Ulta website and from Juvia's Place's own website that back up what the 3 plaintiffs are saying, talking about the staining, talking about eye irritation. The plaintiffs are from 2 different states, California and New York, so they are filing the class actions in both of those states, as well as a federal class action. So what do the plaintiffs want? Here's what it says in the filing. They want refunds for everyone that purchased these products and felt deceived. They also want a court order that tells Juvia's Place that they have to stop advertising their products like this. And then finally, they are, quote, seeking monetary and other forms of compensation, including triple punitive damages, restitution of all profits made from these practices, interest, and legal costs. They argue that without these actions, they and others affected will continue to suffer harm and will not have a complete remedy for the deception they experienced. Now, this is my take on it as a non-lawyer, but somebody that has been following these kinds of cases for the past 5 or so years. I think Juvia's Place might be in trouble here. And I think the big reason is because this goes beyond just not doing what the FDA told them to do. This is people saying that they were hurt by the products and that the products were misbranded, and that's why they were hurt. Not having those disclaimers on those products probably really screwed them. And it makes me so sad because so many companies are very clear in their disclosure, in their disclaimers. Yeah, they have to get flack from people that don't understand that these are approved in the EU. Maybe they might lose some sales because it says not intended for the eye area and it's confusing for people. Absolutely, but you have to play by the rules of the government, and they did not do that. And it breaks my heart for them because I really do think that Juvia's Place could be in trouble if they lose this. Why does it break my heart for them and not the people that were allegedly hurt by this? Because I really genuinely don't think that there is a harm in using these pigments in eyeshadow palettes. I don't think there's any more harm in using these pigments in eyeshadow palettes than it is using fragrance or a pigment called bismuth oxychloride, which is a very scratchy pigment and irritates some people and is approved by the FDA. I don't see a reason for these not to be approved in the US. There are hundreds of thousands of people that use these pigments on their eyes every day and are absolutely fine. There is a level of allergy and irritation and sensitivity that happens with many ingredients. I don't like these lawsuits. I get that they feel they were deceived, but in the end, were they really and genuinely and truly permanently harmed? It doesn't sound like it at all. So that is why I feel for Juvia's Place in the situation, not necessarily for the plaintiffs. In that, I'm also saying that I do think that they have a point, and I think that they might actually win. And finally, our lighthearted story of the day. I love this so much. So back about a month ago or so, we reported on this 4,000-year-old lipstick that was found in Iran. They had this whole field of artifacts they found, and they were unearthing things very slowly, very carefully, and they found this lipstick tube. And y'all were so excited about this story. I have never gotten so many comments about a lighthearted story as I did about this lipstick because it's so freaking cool. And I want to thank longtime Collective Brain member Rashida for tagging me in this. She has given us a gift. Erin Parsons has given us a gift. I can't wait for you to see her videos. I'm not going to steal her thunder. I'm just going to play it for you.
This tube of lipstick was recently discovered. It's 4,000 years old, and there was still lipstick inside. Scientists believe this would have been more of like a paste or a cream and not an actual lipstick as we know it today. Now, they actually examined what was inside, and they know the exact mineral breakdown. As the product had dried up over thousands of years, it was a deep purplish pigment, but at the time of use, it would have been a very dark red tone. They put fake colors over each mineral so you can see exactly how much of each one was used. That large red stone was hematite. This made up 80% of the product. It also contained manganite, braunite, and a sprinkle of anglesite and galena. The base of the lipstick was a vegetal wax. The exact measurements of the tube is 2 inches by 3/4 of an inch. It would have been exactly the size of this mini Pat McGrath. You can see the full-size lipstick here, side by side, and from far away, pretty small. In the Turin papyrus from ancient Egypt, you can see she's holding a mirror and what looks like to be a vial, basically holding the tube in the hand with the mirror and then applying that lip paste with a brush. I spent $500 on all of these minerals so we can crush up some rocks and recreate this lipstick. But first, I'd like to thank a few people. Thank you to the team of scientists and the universities that funded this project. Now let's make some lipstick.
that is not the freaking coolest thing that you have seen today, I am sorry that I have failed you, but I have not failed myself, and that is the coolest thing that I have seen today. I love that. And also, I know, Erin Parsons has millions of followers on TikTok. Like, I get it. But I've never seen her stuff before. It's amazing how that happens. My geeky heart is so happy having found her platform, and I've been binge watching her TikToks in the cracks of doing other things. When I get time, I'm just gonna go down the whole rabbit hole and I'm just gonna watch so much Erin Parsons. I am so thankful to have found her platform because she's really freaking cool. I highly recommend you go check her out if you are geeky like I am. And that, my friend, was What's Up in Makeup top news this week. Thank you so much for watching, and of course, thank you as always to the What's Up in Makeup Facebook hunters. Their names are scrolling below me. Thank you so much for all of your submissions this week. I appreciate you with my entire heart and soul. Our chat today is going to be at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We're going to be hanging out, talking about what's happening in the community. If you would like to join us, fabulous. If you can't, for some reason, that is no problem at all. You can actually watch it on the replay. There's a few ways to find it. If you're subscribed, easiest way, it's just sitting in your subscription feed. Should just be hanging out there. If you are not subscribed, consider subscribing, but if you don't want to, that's okay too. Again, freedom of choice. You can go over to my channel page and you can click on the live tab. That's where they're housed, or down in the video description under this video, you'll find the What's Up in Makeup live chat podcast. It has all of the live chats that we have done over the past year and a half. So thank you again so much for watching What's Up in Makeup. I hope you loved it as much as I loved making it for you. If you would like to hang out just a little bit longer, YouTube should be recommending a couple videos for you over here to watch, including the bottom one, which is last week's episode of What's Up in Makeup top news. Top one's going to be one YouTube's going to pick for you based on what they think that you'll like based on what you've been watching recently. But if you do have to go, no problem. Thank you for hanging out as long as you did, and mad love to you, and I will see you in a video very, very soon.